Hi, I'm sci-fi and fantasy author Michael LaVoice, aka LaVoice in your head. And I'm fit to talk nerdy with you. I want to talk about this week voices. Oddly appropriate. As a LaVoice and sometimes voice actor myself, this topic is near and dear to my heart. Voices in animation and film. The voices that, okay, I'm not going to talk about Saturday morning cartoons. That's a whole nother category. Mel Blanc was a genius and a legend, and we'll probably cover him in another video. What I want to talk about today is voice actors and characters that made a project work. Now, not every voice actor in a film makes the project work, but I do want to bring up an honorable mention before I get into the top five, and that is David Hyde Pierce and Dennis Leary in Pixar's A Bug's Life. Now, I first fell in love with David Hyde Pierce as the character of Dr. Niles Crane on the TV show Frasier. His ability to be dead serious and bring that earnestness to the most ridiculous emotional and physical comedy is something you're just born with. Okay. And in A Bug's Life, he plays a stick bug named Slim who is desperate to be taken seriously because he's always cast as a prop. Uh, Opposite that was the character of Frances, the ladybug, given voice by comedic stand up legend Dennis Leary. Just these two guys together brought something to that film that it would have been 75% less cool without. Okay, let's be honest. It seems voice acting does seem to come in pairs. So let's kick off our top five list. Coming in at number five of characters that made a film comes from the Disney film Emperor's New Groove. And it's not who you think. Okay. The leads in that film could have been played by pretty much anybody. Now, that's not to take away from the performances of John Goodman as Pasha and David Spade as Kuzco. I'm talking about Eartha Kitt and Patrick Warburton as Yzma and Kronk. Now, one of the things that my family likes to do around the Sunday evening dinner table is what we call voice offs, or sometimes we call it quote offs, where somebody will speak a quote from a film and big surprise, it's usually a genre piece or an animated film. And then somebody else at the table tries to one up them by either doing the next line in the sequence or the scene, or to do the line that they just said and sound even more like the character from the film. We're kind of weird that way. LaVoices, go figure. So Yzma and Kronk are probably the most quoted people around our Sunday dinner table just because they're fun. And if you don't believe that Kronk stole every scene that he was in that film, I encourage you to go out on the net and see the memes that feature just Kronk and Yzma, and you'll see that I'm right. I'll rest my case right there. Number four features characters from a series of films that are adapted from a series of kids' books about Vikings that, for some weird reason, sound like Scotsmen. And no, I'm talking about How to Train Your Dragon, but no, I'm not talking about Craig Ferguson, Gerard Butler, or David Tennant, the actual Scotsmen that were in the film. Not talking about them. I am, of course, referring to Jay Baruchel as Hiccup. His affable, laughable nerd voice was the perfect foil against these harsh Scottish accents that he was surrounded with for the film. And honestly, the movie would have lost most of its charm if they had cast anyone else. Number three is another duo. It's from an animated series that made the show. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that these two voice actors were so iconic in their roles that every project featuring these characters since then has tried in some way to imitate them. And of course, we're talking about Kevin Conroy as Batman and Bruce Wayne, and Mark Hamill as the Joker from Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy brought the dark and brooding Batman to life like no one else before or since. He's also got the distinction of playing the Bat more than any other voice actor. before his tragic passing in 2022 at the age of 66. Dietrich Bader gets a shout out for taking on the same character in multiple projects since then, like Batman the Brave and the Bold. He does a great job, but let's be honest, nobody pulled it off like Conroy. Opposite Conroy's dark and brooding malevolence was the scatological brilliance of Mark Hamill's Joker. No one could shift gears from hijinks to psychotic menace like Hamill. He gave the same kind of energy to voicing the trickster in the Justice League TV series, as well as Conroy getting the chance to be a live action version of Bruce Wayne in the CW's failed Batwoman show. Mark Hamill got a chance to play the trickster live action for the CW's Flash show. He even played himself in a Justice League short where Mark Hamill is kidnapped by the Joker and the trickster. And it was called Missing the Mark. See what they did there? It doesn't get much more meta than that. Now, coming in at number 2 on the list, and yes, I'm going to get some hate for this, is James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. It's iconic, instantly recognizable, to the point where even a friend of mine who was a production assistant on another film that Jones was working on asked him to say, "You don't know the power of the dark side," just once, right before he was fired from working on that film. But I don't think that's the point, really. The point is that Jones brought a gravitas to the Dark Lord that was desperately needed for the character and basically ruined the role for anybody else who's coming after him. The number 1 voice casting that has made a film, and all you folks mad at me for number 2 can shut up now, is Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. We all know that in just about every project Robin Williams took part in, there are entire pages of the script that have Robin does his thing at the top, and then the rest of the page is blank. All right? But no role caught that improvisational comedic genius that he had, quite like the genie in Disney's Aladdin. I mean, it's reported that Disney has something to the tune of 60 hours of audio featuring Robin as this character. 60 hours of Robin riffing as the genie. Every voice chaser on the planet wants to break into Disney's vault and steal this audio footage. We do. But yes, we all know the mouse did him dirty, and that caused him not to come back for subsequent projects, and Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson himself, had to step in and take over the role. Well, it just didn't work quite right. Sorry, homie. Stay in your lane. Hey, Robin did come back for The King of Thieves, and a series of shorts about how great minds think for themselves. There's no doubt in my mind that that movie would have not have been the giant runaway hit that it was without Robin Williams as the genie. And if you don't believe me, go take a look at the Will Smith version with the live action and see how well that was received by fans. Well, there you go. That's my top 5 voice casting that made a movie or a show. Now, what do you think? What are your top picks? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you want, maybe we can even revisit this topic as the top 5 that broke a show or ruined it. That might be fun. Huh? So, if you like this, you had fun, give it a like, give it a share, give it a subscribe, and I'll catch you next time when I get to be LaVoice in your head.